I'd like to take this moment to wish you and all of your family and friends the joys of these Christmas days, these Christmas feasts that follow upon the 25th of December. Sometimes we think that Christmas is just a day, but in fact, it's a whole series of feasts and of celebrations that the church lives following the 25th, to be able to kind of take to heart the beauty and the profundity of God's love for us as He takes His dwelling and lives amongst us. First the 25th, when he shows Himself, born of the Virgin, but then in the days that follow, as we celebrate the maternity of Mary, the Mother of God, and of course the Feast of the Holy Family, and up through Epiphany. These are moments for us to simply take to heart and really take joy in knowing that God has indeed come to live amongst us and to share our lives, our families, our journey together as we come in contact with one another. We come in contact with the mystery of the Lord's love. And so my prayer for all of us throughout these Christmas days is that we might rejoice in the knowledge that God is with us, and that He leads us gently as He dwells with us. He leads us gently to the joys of His eternal kingdom. May God bless and protect each and every one of you, your families, and your loved ones. Amen.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Young Adult Matters, and Happy New Year to everyone. It's the very first show for 2013, so we're very, very excited to have everyone here today. So like our last season, I guess you can call it a season, from last year, we have Raul and Matthew back again. Thank you guys for being here. And then we have Annie here joining us as well. But New Year, things change. Time progresses, so we want to know, what have you been doing? How are you? So tell us a little bit about yourself for those that are just watching you for the very, very first time.
Yes, my name is Raul Cabrera, and I live in McAllen. I have a small business in Mission, and this is one of the activities that we like to do is to keep engaged in the church family, church activities, become engaged, and this is what we enjoy the most. So we're very glad to be here again, Amy.
And my name's Matthew Flores, and currently I'm in the physical therapy assistant program at STC, and continuing to stay busy with the Clay Young Adult Group that me and Raul host and work in the ministry. And we just look to continue to serve the Lord for this new year and continue to work hard for Christ. So.
And I'm Annie Pinedo, and I'm going to school at UTPA. I'm actually studying dance, and I do a lot of try to do activities at the Newman Center there on campus.
So are you going to show us how to dance today? No, I'm just kidding.
No. I think we'll pass today.
You'll pass? Okay, so you're studying dance, you have a small business, you're doing physical therapy. Is that always what you wanted to do growing up?
Well, I think the Lord has a plan for you, and it's not always exactly the way you see it when you start, and the road may take different turns, but in the Lord's plan, it's straight. So I didn't look to see myself as a physical therapy assistant student at STC at all, but much later when I'm in prayer, the Lord was revealing those things to me. Slowly and over time, those doors were opening and other doors were closing, and a lot of peace comes whenever the Lord is with you and where you're walking. So I think that was a big factor. So I did not expect to be there at this time.
Yeah. Also, we have different paths in our lives, and when I was in school, in undergrad, I was studying to become an economist, and thank God I graduated with an economics degree and continued on with a master's degree, and I had no idea that I was going to be a small business owner at this moment in my life. I also discerned other vocations, other callings throughout these last few years. But this is the present, I'm currently a small business owner, and pretty much enjoying it, and continue to walk in the faith, see where life leads us.
For me, my life, so far, it's taken a lot of changes, because last year I had started at a school in Houston, and I was a music major, and then over the summer, I wanted to try out this dance program down here, and I really liked it a whole lot. And I had a hard time getting down here and finding a place to stay, but it's like through prayer, like a lot of places opened up, so I came to realize I think that God was wanting me to be down here. And so here I am now, and I didn't expect it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anybody has caught on, but Annie's also a Houston native like me. So, she's moved down here to the Valley to study at Pan Am. So, you're talking about your decisions that you made. You didn't know you were going to be a small business owner. You didn't know you were going to be down here in the first place, and you didn't know that you were going to be doing physical therapy. When you came to those decisions and those decisions needed to be made, was it something that you made immediately, or did it take you some time to just reflect, think about, discuss with others, family members, what their opinion was, or what would it be if you moved or you did a certain action?
I think every decision takes time. In fact, when we try to make a quick decision is whenever sometimes we can become discouraged. I know that, as I said, the doors open and doors closed. For me, I studied and I switched my major 3 times. I spent a year in the seminary studying and discerning the priestly vocation, and as the Lord continued to guide me, keeping me very close to the church and very close to the sacraments, slowly He guided me in the direction towards this program, and often did I question what doors were opening and what doors were closing, but over time the same doors continued to be open. And the same doors continue to be closed. So it takes a little bit of patience, and eventually, He shows you the right way. So.
Yes, and we have desires, we have goals, we have dreams in our lives, and those dreams are always in the present, right? What do I want to do? What do I want to become later in the future in a career, professionally, and we're supposed to strive for those goals, to strive for those dreams, and the Lord, in His time, will put us in the right path of where we can better serve Him at that present moment.
So, you mentioned patience, and that's something that I don't have. I think everybody knows that. You mentioned patience, and you mentioned of being put on our path. Getting more in depth, like giving a situation, can you give an example besides going into the programs that you're going, being in institutions you are in now? Can you give an example of like everyday decisions that you do, pretty much discerning, figuring out if it's God's will? I'll give you one example of mine. It took me a long time to realize the clothes that I wear. Some people don't think anything of it. They're just like, oh, it's just your clothes, whatever. But it's a way to glorify God. What's inside of you reflects what's on the outside. And then if we say we're loving, we're nurturing, we're this from the inside, we must show it from the outside. And so, going to Mass, dressing properly, being very reverent and understanding that we're in Mass. That's when heaven kisses earth. So can you probably give an example, or can you give an example of everyday decisions that you do to, just to glorify God, or that you have to, or you discern God's will?
Well, I think everyday decisions, yes, you hit it right on the head. There's little things that we do each day, and whether it's prayer time, or for a lot of people would be really good, especially in growing close to God and trying to discern His will, is kind of examining our conscience, taking a moment to step back from our normal day, just so that alone time with God, if you have that time in your day, you can really begin to hear Him speak, and that's an important part of discernment. And about what happens, you might hear something one day, and another day you might want to do something and a different thing, and it continues to change. But for me, those little things, the ones that were the most consistent, the most truthful, or the most, you would see it as right and just, and they gave me the most peace, were the ones that guided me in the long run. But it was definitely little decisions or little things each day that were guiding me in the bigger picture. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the difference is in the details, right?
Yeah.
And those small things that we do for our neighbors in the the daily routine of life. Helping out somebody at the door, or perhaps sharing a meal with somebody, making a phone call to somebody that we have not talked to in a long time, or just sharing a smile with somebody that may need to see a bright face to lighten up their day. Those small details, those small actions of love, they really make a difference in people's life, and that is the most essential will of God.
Yes.
To share His presence with others.
It seems like also another really good thing, I think, besides doing the examination of conscience, would be like doing a morning offering. Because for me, then, it's a chance to give your day to God, and like, some things like your classes or whatever is going to happen to the day, and so you ask for help then, and it, like, doing that morning offering makes it like easier to try and think of God during the day, because you've given yourself to Him for the day, and then during hard moments you can try and remember, like, I've already given this moment to Him, so He's going to help me.
Very true.
I know one of the things that there was at the Newman Center last semester, and I know Matthew saw it. I think Annie has seen it. It says, "Do all things with, what is it? Do all things with small love or great love."
It's do small things with great love.
There you go. And so it's kind of sparked to me what you said right now. Calling an old friend, opening the door with somebody. I mean, it's not just simple as opening the door. It's opening the door for having the intent for someone to really walk through it and be like, you know what, let me hold the door for this person. That I could walk in and just let the door slam them in their face, but I'm deciding not to. Let me call this person not because it's the right thing to do, it's because I really love this person. No matter who it is, I'm supposed to show them love, some form of affection, or just doing everything with heart. Because you can be doing a million things and they could be great, but if they have no heart, then what's the purpose? So what can you tell somebody that just is checking stuff off their list? What can y'all advise them to not check stuff off their list and actually have some kind of love in it?
I'll start very quickly with that. Is my grandmother, she has a very, very severe arthritis, and this is what led me towards the physical therapy field, is that I had a great love for my grandmother, and she spent a lot of time raising me when I was a child. So she was always very, very loving, one of the holiest people in my life. And because of this and the love that I have for her, all those little things of taking care of her when she was aching and when she had pains in her body and all those things, and the things that I didn't even know that I was doing, by giving her a massage or by helping her out whenever she's in pain, I didn't know I was doing it. And unconsciously, I was doing a lot of the things that I found in this program as becoming, a physical therapy assistant. And even then, the horizon is endless. So I don't know where the Lord might call me after that. But as of now, that's where it is. And it's those little things that I wasn't paying attention to, in fact, that were very much guiding me in this direction. So definitely just think about what you do in each day, those small things. Don't let anything pass your mind, and it'll become very clear what kind of person you are, as well as where you're going.
That happens in every profession, pretty much. It can be the medical profession, an architect, an economist, a politician, just anybody in any profession. And like Annie said, do that morning offering, that everything that I do today, that it helps support my brother, my sister, my neighbor, and to offer it to God's glory, to assist, to ask for His assistance, and with that, to be able to glorify Him. Say, one time I was having a talk with a lady, getting ready to be a godfather for one of my goddaughters, and she was saying, she told me, what do you do? And I tell her, I had just graduated, okay? I tell her, well, I'm an economist. And she tells me, well, actually, you're a Catholic who happens to be an economist. So that really impacted my life on how to do things, what perspective to do things in your profession.
One of the things that just before, and I should have said discerning, I didn't, and just to clarify, we're talking about discerning, we're talking about making decisions. Well, what really is discerning? The definition of discerning is doing things with good conscience, with the good will, with the good outcome. That's pretty much what discerning is. But for a Christian, discerning is something completely different. For a Christian, discerning means doing God's will with keeping God in mind. And so that's why when I keep saying, well, discerning this, discerning that, that's what I meant. Like, I meant in the fact of keeping Christ in mind. But we make decisions every single day. So discerning is another way for a fancy word for decisions for those that might not know. So it's that exactly. It's keeping Christ in mind in everything that you do. That's why it's a very powerful and different word as a Christian. Discerning your vocation, or discerning, is God calling you to be religious? Is he calling you to marriage? Or is he calling you to single life? And we forget that we have vocations as we're growing up. We have vocation to be in elementary school. We have vocation to be in middle school. We have vocation to be in high school. And then we have an educational vocation pretty much. And so going more into that discerning part, do you think so far in your life you're currently filling that vocation that you're called to do, or are you still kind of working on that?
That decision we take into prayer every day. Every day, am I doing things right? Am I glorifying God in what I do? Am I helping my neighbors in what I'm doing? And if that answer is yes, just keep doing what you're doing. That's my perspective on it. Of course, keep working towards your goals, towards your dream, because that's a gift of the free will that God allows us to think about our future. What do we want to transmit to the next generation? What difference do we want to make in our own passions, in our own interests? And who will give us that opportunity to work according to our desires, if it is according to his will?
I guess, like, going back to directly your question, I guess I feel like this God is calling me right now to be here studying dance at Pan Am, but like I still don't know what I'm going to be doing, like with this dance degree, or if what's going to go happen. But I don't know. It's like I'm feeling part of my vocation right now, which is my vocation to be a student. And I think trying to follow him and keep my actions pure is like will prepare for the next step that he'll have for me. But I don't know if he'll be calling me to be celibate or to be married, but by trying to have a pure mind, I know I'm preparing myself to either give totally to him or to be pure for my spouse.
So I guess in my vocational discernment, I feel that currently that I am fulfilling my vocation, and I would say that the vocation is here and now. It's given. I don't always want to look at my vocation as something beyond me at times. In fact, I look at it as here and now, and what is beyond me is just God's future plan for me. But within the same vocation, I'm always going to be Matthew. I'm always going to be the same person. So a couple of things that I looked at whenever I was trying to figure out if I'm actually fulfilling God's vocation for me, and I could be wrong, but I've been taught in a way that fulfilling God's will is to avoid sin, and to go to the sacrament of penance, and to be in communion with the Holy Sacrament in the Mass, the Eucharist. And in doing these things, you remain very close to God, and you purify your mind, as Annie was saying, and you can hear the Lord a lot clearer throughout the day. It's almost like you have less distractions that are caused by sin. So in purifying yourself and giving time to prayer, being faithful to the sacrament of penance, and faithful to the Holy Eucharist, in that way you can hear the Lord a lot clearer each day. And I can give testimony to that in my own life. I can definitely say that being faithful to the sacraments has been the biggest help in my life out of anything. And lastly, when I was in the seminary, an abbot asked me a simple question, and I would love for everyone to ask themselves this question. He asked me, if you were going to have, is it an autobiography written, or how's it go? An autobiography, I think that's what they call it, an autobiography written, what would you want it to say? And at that moment, I was always looking to receive an answer from outside of myself. But if I'm truly loving God and faithful to the sacraments and I have the Lord in my heart, I should look inside. And in doing this, when he asked that question, I looked inside and there was the answer. And I was able to really gain a lot of peace from that. And my life really took another step forward. So we'll see where it continues to go. But that was a really deep thing that the Lord did in my life, through his holy priests. And I just praise God for that. So.
Thank you for sharing that. And actually perfectly leads to my next question. And earlier there was a mention of peace. And I know I have several friends that have been discerning religious life or been discerning, or sisters that I've spoken to, those that are married, and they all give me the answer, I just feel peace. I feel happy. I can't describe it because it's just telling you peace. So let's get a little bit more into that, into the peace. Like, a lot of the times when we think we're discerning God's will, we're doing it very selfishly. We like, it's whatever is temporarily making us happy. And we don't, buying ourselves the new tablet, feeling, going out to eat the most expensive restaurant, or getting the best shoes ever. I like shoes, by the way. Whatever it is, we're doing it temporarily. So is that really bringing us peace, or is it bringing just satisfaction for that precise moment? So do you think peace is a very important part of this, the whole doing God's will in our daily decisions?
Mm-hmm. Again, we are we have that great gift of free will, and our desire should be to align it with God's will. And we know what God's will is, pretty much, to love Him, to serve Him, and to serve our neighbors, and to walk humbly with God, to serve Him. And that's what you were saying, following up, Matthew, on that introspect of yourself. It brought to mind some words of St. Augustine, who says, love God and then do your will. Right? So he uses that freedom. And as long as we love God first, we're free to do whatever we want for our desires to be. Putting God first.
Yes.
Always. Always. And in doing that, we will be fulfilling God's will already. Yeah. And that's one of our prayers in the Our Father.
I guess the hardest part would be putting God's first.
Yes,
right?
Yes, that's the hard part. Yes, and we grow eventually, gradually. Like Pope Benedict says, conversion is a series of conversions. It's plural. It's not just at one time. And we see that even in the Bible, very occasionally we see miraculous conversions or miraculous callings to characters in the Bible. And the thing is to live daily, to have faith daily. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the most difficult things, like trying to find that peace. I know, just a little quick snippet. I spent a weekend with the Port Clares, the Capuchin Port Clares in Alamo, and I was asking them, like, why did you choose this lifestyle? And, like, we know we were called to it. And when they speak about their lives, they're like, I know God called us, and we discerned what He was calling us to do. And they just, they were so excited. They had so much happiness. They talked with their hands. They couldn't stop. They were just so, like, you can see, like, when they say, like, oh, you're pregnant, you have a glow. That's what they had a glow, but I guess a nun glow. I don't know. They just looked so happy and beautiful. Like, they were literally glowing. So, I mean, it's a year of faith. We're getting really, really close. We just started, obviously. We're 2 months into the year of faith. what are some things that you suggest really quick, very briefly before we go? What are something that you suggest for all of us to keep in mind during this year of faith? You know, we're called to get back to the church. You know, we're called to get closer to the Eucharist, even if we're close, to get even closer to those, invite others to church with us, bring them to different activities within our parishes, bring them to young adult groups like Clay. What are some suggestions that you could give other young adults to get closer to the faith and to truly discern God's will? Whether it's a student as vocation as a current student, or, you know, to become an astronaut, you know, to get into medical school. So what do you suggest?
I would say right away, among the same words that Raul said, I would say, be a Catholic first. And whatever else the Lord has placed in your life, your responsibilities that you have, come next. And if being a Catholic means to believe in God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul, and to love Him with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul, then you're in the right track. And being a Catholic first would also include what we do as a Catholic and in the sacraments of penance and of the Eucharist, and participating in the liturgy. Lent will be coming around, and in that time is a great time of purification. And if anybody pays attention to what actually goes on in the church each throughout the whole year, there's a constant revival of faith and a constant rejoicing of God's promise and a constant grace just being poured out. So be a Catholic first and learn about the faith, and the rest of your life will fall right into place.
Mm-hmm. Following that invitation to participate, part of the participation is to ask. Always seek information, and there are people who are willing to help you learn more about the faith, who are ready to assist us in any type of questions, or at least direct us towards somebody who may help us in answering those questions that we may have. There is always something new to learn, or at least to renew that perhaps we have forgotten somewhere in the closet, and we need to clean it up again and say, oh, this was beautiful. I want to live it again. I want to relive it.
So, guys, thank you so much for your answers. Really do appreciate it. But sadly, we have to go. So, guys, like always, don't forget, it is a year of faith. And, you know, we're called to get closer to the church, like mentioned earlier. So whatever, if you want to see the show again, do it so you can get some more ideas. Again, you can check out more ideas for the year